The question on every gamer's mind for November 2013 is the Xbox One or the PS4. We got the chance to talk to some local game store employees to get their thoughts on the Xbox One and the PS4. Nate, a local game store employee in Rockford, sat down with us to talk about his thoughts on the Xbox One and the PS4. What do you look for when playing a game?
Gameplay value, a story that's going to keep my attention, and gameplay that is not repetitive, that is going to change with the game. Basically, something has decent gameplay. Graphics are definitely a plus, but it doesn't need to have great graphics to be a great game.
What type of genre do you like?
I am a huge JRPG RPG fan.
How do you think the PS4 being released earlier than the Xbox One will affect sales?
I don't necessarily think that a release date has much to do with the system more than the actual specifications of the system. I think the exclusives and the hardware and the price point of the system is really going to dictate what sales look like. I don't think it has anything to do with release date. They're fairly close, so I don't think it's really going to matter much.
What do you think is going to have the best titles and why?
You say better titles, but there are exclusive titles on each that are great. I mean, you have your Gears of War titles on your Xbox consoles. You have your God of War titles on the PS3. The exclusives are really what make the console shine, but I think each is going to have a decent set of great games. It looks like the PlayStation 4 right now has a lot more to offer as far as release day titles. But that being said, I don't think the Xbox is that far behind. More interested to see what their DRM will be when it's actually released.
What is your favorite title and why?
You know, I'm going to have to say either Chrono Trigger or Final Fantasy III on Super Nintendo, just for RPG's sake. If not, just straight up Mario 1, 2, and 3. I grew up on those titles. Super Contra was fantastic. Dragon Spirit, you probably never heard of it. Probably my favorite title, though, is original Nintendo. It was made by Bandai. Very good game.
How do you feel about the PS4 being cheaper than the Xbox One?
Well, a lot of people say, oh, it's cheaper, but you have to keep in mind the Xbox One also comes with the Kinect. With the PlayStation 4, you'll have to pay for the Move after it comes out. I think that price point got a lot of people interested in it. I think it was a great marketing move, but I don't think you're really saving much if you had to go out and buy a camera if you're playing those types of games.
How do you feel about the Xbox One, including the Kinect, when it's not really needed anymore?
Well, I think it's great for people that play the Kinect games, like your Just Dance, Dance Central, and your motion sports types games. I think it's a great addition to the console, but I don't think it's necessary for the people that are like your first-person shooter kind of gamers. I don't think it really is necessary, and I think adding it to the system, it's going to be a whole bunch of returned accessories to the store when it's not needed. I mean, if you're not going to use it, why spend the money on it? It should be added afterward rather than with the package.
How do you feel about PlayStation charging for their online services?
You know what? I'm not against charging for the services as long as the services were acceptable. Playing the previous generation, PS3 and Xbox 360, I own and played both. I love the network on PlayStation. Why? Because it's free. I don't have to pay anything for it. I liked the network on Xbox better because you could play games with your friends. You could play totally different games. You could play two different games and be in the same chat with your buddy. You had a better network on Xbox and you had to pay for it. But the plus side of PlayStation was it was free. So I think paying for it this time around, I don't think it's going to really matter. I mean, both are offering free games with it. PlayStation Plus, you usually get games with it. Not only that, but the PlayStation 4, when it comes out, you don't have to have a subscription to use your Netflix account. Xbox, I was kind of irritated that you still had to pay for the subscription to even access that.
How do you feel about the controllers and how they've upgraded, and which one do you prefer?
I think people are getting to the point where these gamers aren't casual gamers anymore. We grew up when Nintendo had the square controllers, and after playing for hours, I mean, your hands hurt, and you went outside and played, came back and played, a few more hours. They're getting more ergonomic, less stressful on the hands, and I think having people actually developing and spending more time with the controllers is going to help gamers in the long run. It seems like we play a lot more in one sitting than we used to. Actually, no preference. I mean, whatever feels more natural. Like I said, I haven't had my hands on either of them. It's too early to really say what'll feel better. PlayStation remote, I like the Xbox remote. Took a little while to get used to, but you know what? The remotes aren't really my concern as long as I can play the game. The game is what really shines for me.
Which one are you most excited for, the Xbox One or the PS4?
I actually have both of them on pre-order. I'm glad to see games on each system coming out, and I'm glad to see new series of games coming out for each console.
We had also met with another employee from a local game store. His name was Fernando, and here's what he had to say about the PS4 versus the Xbox One.
What do you look for when playing a game?
It'll be like graphics, the gameplay. Sometimes it's voice acting. It just depends on what kind of game you're playing.
What type of genre do you like?
I'm an all type of gamer. I play racing all the way to RPG, all the way to MMORPG.
How do you feel about the rivalry with consoles throughout the years?
It's been pretty good rivalry. PS3 and Xbox, or Sony and Xbox, or Microsoft have had a good competition.
How do you feel about the PS4 being cheaper than the Xbox One?
It's going to affect it a lot. People are already very happy that the PS4 is going to be a lot cheaper than the Xbox. Xbox actually messed up on their marketing. They should have announced that it came with the Kinect, and they didn't, and Sony took advantage of that and said, hey, it's going to be cheaper, so they're going to do much better in the beginning. Of course, the Xbox One is going to come out with the Kinect, though, so that's why it's $100 more.
What do you think is going to have the best titles and why?
It just depends on what they're going to see. Right now, they're all trying to go all out for each game, but each one is only releasing 4 to 6 games for November 22nd. I believe Xbox One will win the first round because Titanfall, I believe, is being released with the first wave, and that looks phenomenal. I know Killzone, the new Killzone, is supposed to be coming out for the PS4. That's supposed to be very good.
What is your favorite title and why?
I would have to say probably either like Call of Duty. I mean, some of the Borderlands are very good. I play that a lot. But I always go back to Call of Duty and Battlefield also.
How do you feel about the Xbox One, including the Kinect, when it's not really needed anymore?
It's going to be needed because you're going to be able to switch back and forth between your video games with just voice command to the TV. So if I'm playing a video game and I'm like, oh, NFL's starting, I need to watch my football, I'll be like, all right, NFL Network, Red Zone, and then I'll switch right back to that.
How do you feel about the PlayStation charging for their online services?
They was going to eventually have to do it anyway. I mean, they have to have it more secure because of what happened with Anonymous hack on PlayStation 3 in the beginning.
Which are you most excited for, the Xbox One or the PS4?
It's a tough one. I'm going to get both of them, but I'm probably more excited to see what Xbox One has to offer with the switching over with voice commands. It's going to be interesting to see if that totally works how they do say it's going to work or if it's not.